Well, Google is beyond doubt one of the most powerful companies in the world, probably the most powerful company in the history of the world, more powerful than most countries. It's the key player in search engines, online video, online advertising. The company is dominant. Is it a monopoly? Sure looks like one. Luther Lowe is vice president of public policy at Yelp. He says Google has engaged in severely anti-competitive behavior against its competition. Luther Lowe joins us tonight. Luther, thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me on, Tucker.
So it certainly looks like a monopoly to me. Is it?
Right. So, every jurisdiction has different standards, but really the best guide that we have today is that DOJ versus Microsoft case from 20 years ago,
yes,
when basically you had then Microsoft, which was dominant in Windows, snuffed out startups like Netscape, which were trying to build tools in adjacent markets, the browser. And you kind of have a similar situation today where Google is dominant in general search, but there are these vertical search services. Yelp is a local search service, TripAdvisor, ZocDoc, services like this. And so it's not illegal to have a monopoly. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when you leverage that dominance and then unfairly go after sort of these smaller competitors in adjacent markets.
When you crush your competition, exactly, and then you eliminate choice for
exactly.
consumers. So explain the effects of their dominance, of their monopoly, on the rest of us. How does that affect free speech or democracy?
Well, I first would go back to what you said about limiting choice for consumers. That, I would argue, is sort of an indirect effect, because eventually, you're right, the market sort of shrivels up, consumers have reduced choice. But in the case of local search, which is what Yelp operates in, you actually do have direct effects of consumer harm. When a mom does a search for a pediatrician in Salt Lake City today on Google, instead of getting matched with the best possible information, highly rated doctors of local doctors and pediatricians, she's instead getting this Google Plus local box. And so there is much better content across the web from services like ZocDoc, RateMDs, HealthGrades. But what Google has done is basically push down these third-party services and sort of hardwired its own inferior content which hasn't gone through the same type of meritocratic processes that it sends everybody else through. And so in that sense,
you can pay to rise to the top of those.
It's not actually a pay-to-play thing. It's like there's a bucket, there's sort of three buckets of click and land. One is the advertising world, one is sort of the 10 blue links meritocracy world, and Google has sort of created this third bucket, which is their own closed-off sandbox that they are force-feeding to users unwittingly. Because 40% of all of our search, it's the biggest category in search, is local intent based. So people looking for Main Street small businesses in the offline world. And so what happens is they drop these boxes, which on smartphones, where Google has a 98% durable market share, it takes up the whole screen, and people basically go into that experience assuming that's the stuff that's the best stuff out there.
But it's a lie. I wish I had time to get your answer to the question, why aren't regulators doing something about this? But I hope you'll come back.
Absolutely.
Because we're going to keep on this. Luther, thank you.
Thank you.